Hello RPF, today I want to talk to you about putty, a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. In any project, I have 3 different types of putty that I tend to use, and all of them have different advantages and drawbacks. So I wanted to give a quick rundown of what I use so you can perhaps benefit from my experience. First up is regular old Bondo, Masila para Kari Coach. Well, you can read that yourself. But this is just regular Bondo. It's available at places like Home Depot. And next up is this stuff, Evercoat Polyester Glazing Putty. This is not typically found at some place like Home Depot. In fact, this is usually at like paint specialty shops or automotive specialty shops. In fact, you wouldn't find it at like an AutoZone or a Pep Boys. I got this at Amazon. I used to have to go down to Santa Ana to a painting place to get it there. And Bondo Glazing and Spot Putty. This is available at Pep Boys. Sometimes Home Depot, Lowe's have it, but like a Pep Boys AutoZone would for sure have it. So what's the difference between all these? So, I say so a lot, huh? Bondo is a catalyst cured putty. So is the Evercoat stuff. This is air dry. So catalyst means you scoop a bunch of this stuff onto a pallet, you squirt a little of this on, you mix it up, and then it cures in like 5 to 10 minutes, and then you can start sanding right away. This stuff, depending on how thick you put it on, can take different amounts of time to cure. So what's most interesting about these different ones is their properties, the way they handle when you're working with something. What I use Bondo for is for covering large surfaces. As you can see, it comes in a much larger can. It's dirt cheap. Like I think this can cost me like under 20 bucks. So if you've got like a large surface that needs to be smoothed out or a huge gap that you need filled, Bondo's the way to go. I've always found it's not terribly smooth. It can be a little clumpy, which is where the Evercoat comes in. It's very smooth. It's also rock frickin' hard. Because it's rock hard, that can actually cause complications. On my project, I've got MDF, and I filled a couple holes with this. Now what's interesting is when you start sanding it, even if you're using a sanding block, what'll happen is the wood, or the MDF, is more likely to be sanded away first before the putty gets sanded down. I guess you have to play around with it to know what I'm talking about, but it sands at different speeds. So what's great about this stuff is its smoothness. It's very smooth, and you can also get very, very fine detail out of it. So if you're trying to like re-engineer an edge of something, you can putty some of this and sand it down, and it will hold on to your material very well. It's very tenacious stuff. These two things also don't stick well to styrene. I don't know why, it's just one of its properties. So that can be good or bad. If you're mastering something in styrene and you put this on it, you can like flick it off. So you either have to handle it carefully or just use something different. The spot glazing putty, it's air dry like I said. It also tends to contract a little when it's drying. So if you put it on really thick and then it dries, it'll have deep cracks in it and it'll just kind of, well, it contracts. The great thing about this is it sands very, very easily. So if you lay a bunch down and smooth it out, when it dries, you can sand it smooth very lightly. Use like a 220 or a 300 grit sandpaper and get a very smooth surface very easily. It won't hold on to corners. It's not very tenacious. It just doesn't hold on to stuff very well. So like if you're, like I was saying with this, if you're rebuilding a corner, if you put this down and you start sanding, it's just going to pop right off that corner. It just doesn't hold very well. It holds better to styrene than this stuff. So that's really it. So depending on the circumstances of what you need for your build, one of these will be better than the other. So for tiny details that require light sanding, this stuff. Where you want smoothness and high tenacity, this stuff. And when you want to cover large areas and maybe don't mind a little clumpiness, well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you're enjoying the updates. I'm getting very close to being done with this project. I'm looking forward to having it finished. We'll see you at the next one. Bye.